All right, we are on air. Okay. My name is Sunil. I'm from Saptarishis Astrology magazine, and we have two of students from the Bhrighu Course, International Course. Amy Eggers. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, Sunil. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. And Milika, we have. How are you, Milika?
Hi, I'm fine. I'm fine. Glad to be here, and thank you for answering our questions. It's really nice.
Most welcome. Let's hope I can keep up and answer it. I'll try to answer it to the best of my abilities. Milika, where are you from? I never asked you that. Which country you're from?
I was born in Canada, and I've been shuffling back and forth between France and Canada my whole life.
And now you're based where?
In France.
Oh, you're in France. Okay. And Amy, where are you from? I think US?
Yes, I'm from the United States. I'm originally from New Jersey, the eastern coast of the United States, and now I live in the southeastern corner of the United States in the state of Virginia.
Okay, great. And quickly, in order for me to understand your mindset or from where the questions are coming from, for me to answer it more perfectly as much as possible. How long, Amy, you've been doing astrology, and what's your age?
Well, I'm 37 years old, and I've been doing Vedic astrology, studying Vedic astrology for about the last year and a half. So I'm pretty much a newbie, but I have Vedic astrology fever. It seems to be addictive. I watch a lot of videos. I do a lot of reading, trying to catch up with those basic skills.
And Western astrology, have you been doing Western astrology also?
No, I studied on and off Western astrology, but it never held my interest like Vedic astrology does. It's so much more, it just seems so much more structured and detailed so that you can really make sense and predict, rather than with the Western. It seems more of an interpretive art that really doesn't offer a lot of answers like Jyotish does. So,
all right. I'm first and foremost, I must apologize. I asked you your age. I know it's not polite to ask.
I'm not ashamed. No, I'm fine.
All right. And Milika, how long you've been doing astrology?
It's been about the same time as Amy. It's been a little over a year that I really got deeply into it. I mean, I've been studying it lightly for a few years before that, but since like a year and a half, it's been like really intense. Like Amy was saying, it's like almost an obsession. It's like all my free time I'm just studying astrology. So.
And I've never asked feedback much. How do you feel? You guys are pretty young into astrology, and how do you feel doing the Bhrighu course? I mean, what is your opinion about the course?
I love the course. I think it's going very well. I'm glad that a friend talked me into doing this course, because I was a little bit nervous about my basic skills and wasn't sure that I could keep up and catch on. But really, it's good. It's given me a push to really get those basic skills in place, and at the same time, I'm able to keep up with the homework. And I love the format. I love the discussion. I love the interaction on Facebook. It's been very interactive, and I'm getting to meet a lot of great people. So I appreciate the opportunity and everything that you guys are doing. It's a great course.
That's great. And Milika, what about you? You can be honest and straightforward. I mean, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, actually, I find it's easy to follow, really, but it's amazing. It's an amazing type of astrology. It's different from anything else that I've seen before, and it's pretty intense. It's pretty amazing how it works, and really nice, really, really nice. And I mean, the homework too. It's just helps us to learn so much faster when you're actually doing homework, and you just learn so much faster. It's incredible.
Did any of you make a prediction using the techniques that we have taught so far? I mean, we have taught only 4 or 5 lectures, but...
Yeah, well, I did a few blind charts, like not knowing what happened in the lives of people, and I could see things, and I told them, and they were like, "Wow, how could you see that?" So yeah, it worked a few times.
It's very good. I myself could never predict after 1 year of astrology, so I'm really envious and at the same time proud of you. You know that you guys could do that. All right. Quick question. I mean, getting personal here. Do you have any gypsy blood, or you feel attracted towards gypsies?
Well, I guess that would depend on what gypsy, I guess, would mean. I've always been interested in esoteric arts. I've always had a fascination with tarot cards. I picked up my first tarot card deck when I was 15 with my sister, and I started reading, and that's what I'm doing as a living right now. So sometimes I feel like I live like a gypsy a little bit. But my sun is in the 8th house. My Venus is in the 8th house as well. So I have an appreciation for secret, mysterious things and figuring out, you know, and investigating and getting down to the bottom of things and finding out truths. And I just find that kind of, I guess, side of life attractive.
Great. Great. We'll start with the questions. Who would like to ask the question first?
I guess I'll go ahead, and I'll just take it from the start, from where it all started, this whole thing. So it's just about your statement. It was on our forum. And I guess the student had asked you if you recommended any astrologer, and you answered, "I don't recommend anyone. What I recommend is to burn one's horoscope and forget astrology. It's my strong view, which I try to follow and have done many years, though failed a few times." So if you could, you know, I asked you after, do you feel astrology prevents some people from living in the present moment and taking responsibility for the reality they create? Is that why you recommend to forget about astrology? Or like, what's behind that? Because that's a very strong statement, and I was very intrigued.
See, it's a very big question that you asked, and to reply to that would take some time. But I hope I don't forget some key points in that. First and foremost, let us understand what's happening. Who are the ones coming for an astrological consultation? Most of the people who are coming for astrological consultation, they are very agitated in life. They are nervous about some issue or anxious about some issue or the other. That is the majority of the people. Very few people are very mature enough and they come to an astrologer saying that, "Hey, I'm going to pay you $350 or $1,000, do my reading, but tell me, what is my pending karma? Why I have been born? What do I need to do to go to the next level?" You understanding? In India, I haven't heard of any single guy who has gone to an astrologer asking these questions.
Okay.
People only want predictions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They want to know when they're going to get married, when they're going to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or when they're going to have a child, or when they're going to have money or a job, you know, all those kind of things. Let us first understand the purpose of astrology. The purpose of astrology in the last 2000 or 5000 years have gotten very diluted. Because nobody stressed that astrology is a spiritual science. The word spirituality and religion are two different things. Sometimes I think they are at the opposite end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And incidentally, like a circle, if let's take this, here is spirituality, here is astrology. sorry, here is religion and here is spirituality. If this is like a tube that can be bended and made into a circle, then you would realize that after spirituality, because it's meeting. So here is, so if you started from here, you came to religion, from here you went into spirituality. It's like a circle. You are born on this earth because there are some pending karmas against some people, some activities, some lessons in life, some mastery of some characteristics like anger, ego, sex, whatever, you know, the basic characteristics. Compassion, gratitude, that could be one of your lessons. So these are the reasons why you are born. Also, the soul wants to experience something. Like, for example, in Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, or Welsh, however his name is pronounced, he says very clearly, God says very clearly, presuming that that's God talking to him, that the soul wants to experience. In every lifetime, he wants to experience something new. Maybe he wants to become an actor in this lifetime, maybe an astrologer in the next lifetime, maybe a dancer, maybe an artist, maybe a tarot card reader, maybe a cyclist. You know, the soul wants to experience many things. So in that experiencing of the soul, we develop relations. We do something good for some relation, we do something bad for some relation, and it becomes a cycle till we keep on making the bank balance zero. When your karmas are burnt, that is when you go higher up in your spiritual progress. Of course, there are many ways to do spiritual progress. There are some meditation practices by which, like Kriya Yoga, for example, which Sri Paramhans Yoganand ji, you know, propagated, by which you can burn your karma without actually going through the whole physical process of interaction, you know. Although we can see it is limited also, but still, you know. The point is, getting back to the question, people are coming to an astrologer to know what's going to happen with their business, this, that, etc. Now here you will find two kinds of people. One who will go to an astrologer twice or thrice in his lifetime, which is fairly good. There are some who want to consult an astrologer every 6 months. There are some who want to do every second day. Hey, what's going to happen with that project of mine? Hey, should I go for this meeting or not? Will I be successful? Like, what did I do yesterday? I called up Anna Chiklova. She does tarot. Okay. So I wanted to ask her a question. I forgot that question. But anyway, you know, it was something. And at the same time, I also wanted to test her, which is wrong actually. But I wanted to see what she's doing, because she's not doing tarot. She's doing some Russian cards. It's something different. I wanted to experience that. You know, point what has happened in India. Let me explain to you the Indian mentality. I come from south of India, Kerala. Over there, Prashna, that is horary astrology, is very popular. For every small thing, you go and you ask a question. My buffalo, my cow has gone, has not come back. Will it come back or not? No, people actually ask that question. Villagers, small villagers, they worry because the cow feeds their family.
Yeah.
Daily milk and does the work in the farm, you know. But it might be a small question for some, it might be a big question for some.
Absolutely.
Astrology got developed over the years. Today, unfortunately, has become an addictive science. Are you understanding? Addictive.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
It has become so addictive. Let me give you the case of one of my students. He's absolutely brilliant. But the moment any event happens in his life, he will correlate it with his horoscope, with his Navmansh, with his D60, everything with that person's horoscope, with that person's D60, that person's Navmansh. It has only become a mental exercise for him.
Yeah, he wants to analyze everything to see how it works out in terms of planets, right?
Yeah,
It becomes,
everything. Robert De Niro, I think, made a movie called Analyze That, in which I think Gary Chandler or somebody, I forget, a very popular actor, he plays a analyst, psychologist. So every time something is happening in his life, Robert De Niro's life, he is addicted to that psychologist. He calls up. Of course, the psychologist or the therapist, makes money per hour. And that's what astrologers do. I will tell you what I learned from the last book of astrology, that is a dialogue between one man from Bombay and a yogi. A yogi is very, very, very advanced yogi. The yogi says, you do astrology, you do only one reading for that person. One reading. One reading for that person you do. And that should be enough to guide that person for his whole life.
yeah.
Are you understanding? See, let us understand. Can you all give me a minute, please? I'm sorry, I forgot water. I'm feeling thirsty. I know this is very bad manners, but
No, of course. No, no problem. Go ahead.
yeah. See, we are, I'm envisaging this to be an hour or 2 hours session. So I'm going to clarify many things of other questions that people have asked in our Facebook group. See, we are learning the astrology of the rishis, of the sages. And we want to predict. But when a rishi is looking at a horoscope, what is he seeing first? What is he seeing second? How he is predicting? What kind of events he is predicting? None of us has studied that in the last so many years, so many decades. Because we don't have any reading from a rishi in recorded format. In 1950s, the government of Madras is Chennai now, in a state called Tamil Nadu, they published manuscripts in a book form of Saptarishi Nadi. Saptarishi Nadi means 7 rishis Nadi. And for the first time we came to know how a rishi is predicting, or rather what he is predicting. How the rishis themselves can go wrong. It was in Tamil language. Finally, in 2009, Saptarishis Astrology magazine got it translated through Mr. NBS. He is our associate editor of our magazine, and his team, several people came together who were knowing Tamil language. We translated it into English and we have published it in our magazine. It is available for freely download.
What's the name of it?
Saptarishi Nadi. Saptarishi Nadi. 7 rishis Nadi. It's a dialogue between goddess Parvati and the 7 rishis. Before this, Before this, Sri Santhanam, the late Santhanam, he published it in his book. I have that book here somewhere. Some dialogues he published it. So in English. When he was alive, he did that. I think the name of the book is Essentials of Predictive Astrology. It is not available. It is out of print since long. So we come to know how the Rishi is predicting. The Rishi is giving predictions for the whole life. This year you will get married, this year so and so event will happen, this year, in a chronological order. If a person gets that kind of reading, ideally he does not need to visit the astrologer again, correct?
Correct.
Now, if any astrologer in America or anywhere in the world, including India, does that kind of reading, astrology business will stop.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to ask a question. Are we following what the rishis were following? Or are we corrupting the methodology of the rishis? Are you understanding? Yes, new events can happen in your life. New events can happen in your life. You need to again consult an astrologer. Once in a while, go to an astrologer. But don't be addicted to going to an astrologer, is what I am saying. We need to have the ability to bear our karma. Okay, 1 second. He wants me to open the door, so he's scratching the cat. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Last 2 months, a cat seems to have found a new home in my office.
Aww.
Nice.
Some say it's a good sign, some say it's not a good sign. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, my question is, today 50% of people go to an astrologer. Let's assume that as a statistics. There are still 50% of people whose lives, they don't believe in astrology, they don't go to an astrologer, and still they are living their life, they are taking all the tensions that can be taken. I have encountered in the last 20 years, 22 years now, okay, people are they become so mad, people who are into astrology, who are learning astrology, in order to get an answer or the correct answer that they want to hear. They go from one astrologer to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. The business is multiplying. Nobody is stopping it. Nobody is telling them, hey, you have a soul, have faith in God, surrender to God. You have a soul, you have a brain, use your brain and do it. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? We astrologers are making the 50% of the population weak, psychologically weak to make decisions. So in that extreme, I have said this. I will also reply, but my reply to your question, Milika, is going to take time. And that is the reason I said, let's come on a hangout. Because the same questions people will have. I am presenting my views, which does not mean that everybody needs to accept it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, what is happening is, I'll give you an example of myself. I was jobless 2-3 times in my life, each time for a period of 2 years, 2.5 years, or 1.5, 2 years minimum. You getting it? I kept on going from astrologer to astrologer. None could predict. None could predict. Finally, I think the 3rd or the 4th time, I just let it go. I just let it go. I used to do my Vishnu Sahasranam and I used to do my Hanuman Chalisa. For 45 minutes, I used to do Hanuman Chalisa. It's an Indian ritual. And I used to say, everything at your feet, Sri Ram. Everything at your feet, Hanumante. I became a far stable person. Imagine the amount of emails I have been getting since the last 7 years of Saptarishis Astrology. Imagine the amount of Facebook messages that I get. You know, Amy, are you with us? Hello? Hello?
She's there, but I don't know, something seems to have gone wrong.
Okay. So we need to invite her back. How do we do that? I don't know how to do
Oh my
that.
God. I don't know. I can see her, but
I see you got to join her back. Okay. I, now, how do we? Okay, I think I got it. Okay, so Amy. Okay. Now she should be back. Okay. Amy, you got to unmute yourself. Hi, Amy. Oh my gosh. Technology always gives me troubles. Okay, I'm going to invite her back again. We seem to be having 6 viewers. I don't know how to invite them also. Probably we should invite them, but I don't know how. Okay.
sorry.
And now, are you there, Amy?
I think she should be there. Are you?
I
Are
do
you?
see her. I do see her. Hi, can you wave? Can you wave? Okay, but we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Hi, Amy. Oh, that's strange.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Okay. Can we continue this since we are live? Can we continue? You could always ask the questions via the chat. Is that okay? I'm sorry, this is new technology. I don't know how to operate. Thank you. That's kind of you, Amy. Okay. Now, okay, great. So, you know, the amount of messages I get, I see the misery of people. I see those same people have contacted my other friends, other astrologers with the same questions.
Yeah, because they lose faith in themselves. So they're looking for answers outside that they should be looking for inside, I guess.
No, yeah, that's one reason. That's one reason. But you know, when a guy wants a job, I'll tell you what happens in India. You know, because it does not happen abroad. In India, we have astrologers who are doing it free or paid. Plus, at the same time, there are most of the astrologers, they charge very little amount of money. Abroad, they charge $250 or $150, something like that. So abroad, if you're charging $250, if I have a problem, I can go to one astrologer, I'm not satisfied with him, I'll go to another. But after that, I will stop. or 2 or 3 times, and then I will stop. In India, they go to 10 astrologers. They will go for 5 paid ones, and they'll go for at least 20 non-paid ones. So we are making them addicted. I want to know when I'm going to get a job. One astrologer will say, okay, you're going to get a job after 6 months. You are not happy. You want an answer. No, I want to get a job next month. So I will go to another astrologer. I will keep on going to another astrologer. Then my tendency is, I will go to 10 astrologers, then I will check which one was correct, so that in the future it will help me. We all have our business mentality, you know. Your guru is one, your father is one, your astrologer is only one. 9th house, unfortunately, has a multiplicity. See in your horoscope, any planet which is your 9th lord, see wherever it sits, it will multiply. It will give multiplying effects. Suppose your 9th lord, suppose your Aries Lagna, your 9th lord is in 7th house. Okay, I'm talking from a chart that I remember.
Yeah.
9th lord Jupiter is in the 7th house. So it will give you more relationships. It will give you more relationships. Suppose your 9th lord is in the 12th house. It will give you a lot of sex, or a lot of spirituality, or a lot of dreams.
12th house.
Yeah. So this is how you see it. So, but our Father is one. Our Guru is one. Our God is one. In India also, they say, like for example, the Agora series by Robert Soboda, who's from your USA. Very clearly, Swami Vimalananda in that says, take one mantra and be married to it for the rest of your life. One mantra. But most of us Indians, most of the people who are into astrology, they will do 10 mantras, they will do 10 stotras. You know, if this God does not help, at least this God will help. Are you understanding?
Yeah. It scatters energy. It decreases the focus on one thing. And also, I mean, the ultimate consciousness is unity. So it's good to always be simple. Yeah.
Okay, let me. One second. Amy has gone out. Let me call her back in.
Yeah.
So the problem that I see is astrology is not helping the current breed of astrologers. Astrology is not helping the current breed of astrologers. You're understanding?
Yes.
Milika,
so what?
Milika, I've just emailed you the link. If you can send this over this to Amy.
Sure, let me check. I didn't receive it yet. Did you email it to my hotmail?
Okay, I sent it.
Okay, I got it.
Or Amy can just restart her machine. So this is the problem with Indians. I will give you 2 examples. The great Dr. B.V. Raman, last 5 years of his life, he had left astrology. You're understanding the great Dr. B.V. Raman, who started the magazine, astrological magazine.
Yes. Yes.
Even Sri K.N. Rao's mother, last 5 years or few years of her life, this is what K.N. Rao told me, because I don't remember how many years, but last 5 years or 3 years, she had left astrology. Why? After spending 7 to 8 decades in astrology, why do astrologers give up astrology? Are you understanding? There has to be a reason. Before giving up astrology, one stage is, that is at a very mature stage, where you stop looking at your horoscope and you say, I am not worried, my dear planets, I am not worried. Whatever you will give me in my life is something that I deserve. I did something to get that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But then when we get that realization for ourselves, then it would be the highest thing to do the same thing for others. Because if we continue to look at others' charts, then we're just encouraging them to not be in that outlook of embracing things the way they are.
That is the reason Dr. Raman gave it up in the last few years. He gave up astrology. You're understanding? That is, see, he had reached that level.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like the planets are embodiments of the ultimate consciousness. Like they give us answers regarding our karma, and so I think that's why it's so interesting to have that conversation that's like on a different level with the planets. So my question is, can it be done? Can we study and practice astrology without getting hooked up into that sort of pitfall, you know, of having to check it all the time, but just use it very wisely? Do you think that's still possible, or should it just, be avoided?
It is possible. It is definitely possible. I'll tell you how I use my own horoscope. How I use my horoscope is, I don't see anything that's going to happen in the future. Any technique that I get, I check on my horoscope to see if it has happened or not.
Right. Yeah, that seems a very good idea. Yeah.
Suppose I am testing a technique for the 31st year. Okay. So suppose I'm testing a technique for the 30th year, 30. Now, what is the BSP? The BSP is, wherever Rahu is sitting, it will implement its energy in the 30th year, 30. So I will look at my horoscope. Fine, it is working. It is not working. I will test it. I'm using my horoscope only to test a technique.
Yeah.
But what my future events will be, future actions will be, I am not using it.
Yeah. Sorry, I think there's like also so many things that can happen with certain planetary placements, and the planets act differently for every different person. So it takes a lot of skill to be able to predict a future event. I think it's well, even a past one, I guess, if it's a blind chart. But the thing is, like, the combinations, the planets seem to work differently for every person. So it's also very subjective, and the person has to be really connected to the planets to really be able to practice astrology at the highest level.
Yes. See, I'll give you a small example. Yogis, when they go forward in their journey, in their spiritual path, many of them, they let go of sex. The sexual energy, they bring it up. Correct? Many young people these days want to become yogis. They get attracted by all these movies and books and all that. They become successful in their spiritual practice. Then at the age of 48 or 42, they start getting sexual energy. It becomes difficult. Or at 66 or 60, they start getting that energy which is uncontrollable to them. The point is, let's assume a young guy who has never experienced sex. For him, it is easier to control sex rather than a person who has had a very high extreme sexual life. For that person to control sex is more difficult. So each one's journey is different. We cannot be judgmental about each one's journey. So you can, I'll tell you for example my own child's horoscope. When he was born, I was so worried. I saw so many wrong things. Although my child's horoscope, the time of birth, Sri K.N. Rao decided what time he needs to be born. And exactly at that time, there was only 1 minute delay. Not delay, 1 minute earlier he got born. And I realized what mistake has happened because of 1 minute. Because I used a particular divisional horoscope, D60. I realized his whole future has changed. But anyways, I see so many wrong things in him. Okay? So whenever my child is acting selfish for chocolates and not giving the chocolate for the neighboring child, you know. So whenever I buy chocolates for him, I say this is for you and it's also for your friends. So he plays games. He will give it to only 3 people and not to the rest of the 6 friends. Then he'll hide it somewhere. Now what do? I instantly imagine his horoscope. I know, see, this is the planet that is causing. I knew my child is going to be an extremely selfish person. He's got so many planets in this house. Are you understanding? So I am judging him.
That's why I avoid looking at my son's chart too much, because I don't want to influence him. But
exactly.
It's tough.
Exactly. I know so many things that are wrong going to happen with my own child. For quite some time, I lived in fear of him being kidnapped.
But do you know for sure? Because I mean, like I just said, like the planets and the interpretation we bring to them are not.
A combination in his horoscope, which I have tested on other horoscopes of people who were kidnapped. I lived in fear. Finally, I blurted it out to my wife. She lived in fear. So what have I done? I have given fear mentality.
Oh gosh.
For a young mother, for a young father, having only one child, and he's a very cute child, living in fear. Are you understanding why our ancients have said, do not see the horoscope of your near and dear ones?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to stay attached from.
How have I progressed, probably spiritually, or progress or not progress, I do not know. How has my wife progressed? We both have just left it to God. We spent years worrying. Every day of our life, we spent years worrying. We took him to malls. We recently in Bombay, there was one kidnapping case where the girl, I think 6-year-old child, was murdered. Okay, and that child was my wife's friend's relative. So we spent years worrying. Now we just left it to God. Whatever happens, happens.
He must have some positive placements too, so maybe focus on those instead.
Yeah, and you can't believe, I did go to one very good astrologer in Bombay, and I asked him, and he kind of confirmed it, that yes, he's going to be kidnapped.
That's terrible.
Very popular astrologer. My wife insisted on asking that question. But astrologers go wrong. If this is what God wants, that's it. He must have done some karma, I must have done some karma. It's very difficult. Amy, don't you think so? Oh, sorry, Milika, don't you think so? I know the kind of diseases I'm going to suffer. I have a fear of paralysis. I have a fear of paralysis.
Why? Because of your chart?
Yeah, my chart, my horoscope. What am I going to do? In fact, I had discussed it with Diana Rosenberg, the late Diana Rosenberg. She's an extremely popular and famous astrologer from the West. who has researched on fixed stars, and she had done that research on some several hundreds of Vietnam veterans,
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam veterans who lost their legs. It matched with my horoscope.
But like I said, sometimes the placements don't work the same way for different people.
Yes, it can. See, that's a very fine art. It's a very fine art. In some cases, it's working. In some cases, it's not working. But don't you think so? A normal astrologer would be worried if he knows all these things.
Yeah, of course, of course.
How much worry they pass on to their near and dear ones. Astrologers in Bombay, I know of, okay, they love to show off to their relatives. I know what's going to happen to this. I know what's going to happen. And especially most astrologers in Bombay, all over India, maybe all over the world, that does not happen in the West, but they stress on negative predictions, trying to show off negative predictions.
Yeah, and I mean whatever we focus on, we build more of that in our life because our brain is wired in a way that whatever we look at, whatever we focus on, we see that everywhere and we attract more of it in our life.
Tell me something, Milika. What is the final stage of spirituality? The final stage of spirituality is when you have surrendered everything to God, everything to Jesus, everything to Narayana, everything to Lord Shiva. Isn't that the final stage of spirituality? Where you don't care, everything is in God's hand. God is my love. God is, His hand is on me. Whatever He has decided for me will happen. I accept God's will. I accept God's will. Isn't that what is the final stage of spirituality?
I think the final state of spirituality is when you know that you're one with God and there's no separation and you're the same, like He's flowing through you.
Exactly.
He's everything. So yeah.
Exactly. So if we are one with God, my question is, if we are one with God, if my leg is going to be cut or I'm going to be paralyzed, then God's leg is going to be cut and it's going to be paralyzed. I don't care. I am one with God.
True. True. And I mean,
So
I
why should
guess
I worry? Why should I worry? Why should I
right.
worry? I am God. I am merged with God. Does God worry? God does not worry. So why should I worry? Do you think so God worries?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I just got an idea. Let's stop this broadcast and in 2 minutes, let's invite Amy back in. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Definitely.
Let us
Yeah.
understand whether this is being recorded, whether it was recorded, it was not recorded. Let us understand that because we are doing it for the first time. Yeah?
Yeah, sounds
So
good.
I'll stop this broadcast and I'll see you in 2 minutes.